Tonight we will examine concepts that may challenge your perception of the world around you. Strange creatures, chilling tales, and the occasional conspiracy. Here on our show, we will attempt to provide you with paranormal insight. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Tonight we have Kat Ward from Paranormal Heart with us. Tonight we're going to follow her journey into podcasting about the paranormal. So without further ado, welcome Kat Ward.
Hey, how's it going?
Woohoo! I wish I had an applause soundtrack on this thing. That'd be awesome. Wow, yes.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure. Thanks for being on the show. So I've had this series going for a little bit now. First it started with Eric Salaji, then my partner JJ Rose, and then Tommy Cullum recently, and now yourself. I'm talking to the podcasters in the paranormal genre. As genre? Well,
Sure.
okay, we'll use
That's
that
what
for
we'll
now.
call it. Yeah.
We'll use that for now. And I'm curious to know how you got started in podcasting. So let me start with this question. Have you ever had any paranormal experiences that led you into this field?
Yes.
Please.
I've had experiences growing up, and which I'll tell you about in a moment, but I was also with an investigative team, paranormal investigator here in the Ottawa Valley in Ontario, Canada, and that kind of got me to podcasting. But
fantastic. So you're a
yeah.
fellow ghost hunter.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've kind of taken a little hiatus on it. It's just I'm working. I usually work 3 till 11 at night. It's just difficult getting everybody together at the same time, you know. So I told the team, I said, "Well, sorry, ladies, I'm gonna have because we're all women. There's four of us. Yeah. It's called Canadian Supernatural Research Society. It's a mouthful.
Canadian Supernatural Research Society. Okay.
So CSR. Oh, geez. It's okay for me to write it. Yeah. Yeah. So we've been together for a few years, but my paranormal journey pretty much started when I was a child, growing up on the east coast of Canada. I'm originally from New Brunswick. And the little town that I grew up in was called Dieppe, New Brunswick. And I grew up in this 3-story apartment building. We lived on the top story, and it was a really, really old building. There's no elevators, it's just stairs. And there was a time that before we moved in, the building was originally heated by coal. There was a coal furnace in the basement. So you know how old the building is.
Gotcha.
Always had a creepy vibe. Okay. So the heating system is now electric at the time that we lived in it, but the person on the first floor is the one who had control of the heating. So if we were too cold, we had to call down and say, "Could you turn up the heat?" And of course, they'd be cooking because the heat would go up. Yeah, it wasn't a very nice apartment building, but
that sounds like the old apartment buildings in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had the same issue.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay,
so,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. So you go up the flights of stairs to the 3rd floor, and you go in. I'll just describe what the apartment looks like. So you go in, and you had the living room, and across from the living room was my parents' bedroom. Now, if you go to the left, it was the dining room, and then across from that was the washroom. You keep going to the left, you have this long kitchen, and at the end of the kitchen was my bedroom. And it was one of those big, I have no siblings, so I had the room by myself, and a big walk-in closet. Yeah. My mom's from a family of 13 kids, so the youngest is only 3 years older than I am. So we've always been close, and I have tons of cousins. So I never really felt like I was alone.
That's good.
I was spoiled, yes, but a lot of people, when they find out that I'm an only child, they're like, "You're an only child?" I'm like, Yeah, but I have a huge family, you
Right.
know. Yeah.
I know wherever you speak. Same thing here. I was an only child up until my brother was born,
Okay.
about 9 years later.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I grew up in a French community, Acadian French. So,
Acadian French. What's that?
Acadian, yep, it's well, little bit of a history here. So the Cajuns
Mhm.
and the Acadians were kind of cousins. So in 1755, the French, the Acadians, kind of got kicked out of the Maritimes, and a lot of them went down to the States. So the
Mm.
Cajuns and the Acadians were pretty much cousins. So a lot of the Cajun language is similar to the Acadian language, which is just it's a different French. Um,
Gotcha. This reminds me of something my buddy Henry, who was my scary partner.
yeah.
Um, he was an exceptional linguist. He spoke like six languages,
Oh,
maybe seven,
wow.
and French being one of them.
Hmm.
He's from Belgium, so
Ah, yep.
kind of
French. Yeah.
imagine they did. He says we had an opportunity to speak with someone who was from Canada, spoke French, and they had the accent.
Yeah.
I guess from where is that?
Was it
Quebec.
from Quebec? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so he started talking to him in French. He says, "Yeah, but their words are older. They use older terms."
Yep.
So he asked him a question like, "What's a car called in your language?" He says, "Well, it's a cart." Like a horse-drawn cart. And he
Yeah.
started cracking up and told me the translation. I said, "Oh, okay." That's
Yeah.
it made. I'm not a French speaker, so it didn't make too much difference to me. But Henry just found that the most amusing thing in the world
Yeah.
that used, you know, I guess you can say older terms or even ancient terms, like it's an far older form of French
Yeah.
than is currently spoken.
Yeah. And Quebec French and Acadian French are a little different. We use more terms like I guess you could say peasant terms, I guess, for lack of a better term. uh, we also call it Franglish because you kind of mix French and English
Oh,
together. So we call it Chiec.
check.
So Chiec, yeah, it's a
Okay,
little different. Yeah.
I'm
So
educated.
yeah, so I jokingly tell the kids because they were born in New Brunswick, but we moved to Ontario when they were small. So I jokingly say I speak three languages. I speak French, Acadian, or Chiac, and French. So,
Gotcha.
depending who I'm speaking with, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I didn't mean to
Oh, it's
interrupt you.
okay.
Like,
It's okay.
please continue.
It's kind of neat to talk about my heritage though.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, in my room, I would encounter this entity that we now call the Hat Man.
Ooh, you
But
saw
he
the
was,
Hat Man?
yes, as long as we
Oh,
lived in that apartment, um, I think we moved out when I was in junior high, or was it in high school, and we bought a house. But I saw him for several years. But he was 4 feet tall. He wasn't the tall one. Um,
you saw
a short hat man.
mini
Yeah,
Hat
yeah,
Man.
yeah, mini me. Yeah, yeah. Still terrifying.
Did you
Still
do this?
terrifying.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah,
So
I still, yeah. I mean, if he's your height, or well, I don't know how tall you are, but I mean,
I'm
especially in
five
high school,
six now,
five
but
six.
yeah.
That's
But I had
still.
someone ask me one time, "How do you know how tall he was?" I said, "Because I remember how tall my dresser was." And
Uh,
I compared it to the dresser. So
so
they're like,
did his
"Oh,
head
okay."
go to the top of the dresser, or did his hat go to the top of the dresser?
It was his hat.
His hat
So
did, so he was
hat,
technically a little bit shorter. Okay,
probably,
gotcha.
yeah, yeah. Um,
It was mini Hat Man.
yeah. Yeah, right?
Yeah, still, I mean, to have something like that. So was this a nightly thing or?
I don't recall if it was a nightly thing, but it did happen often.
Hmm.
Um, Often enough that I remember the entire time we lived in that apartment building, it happened. And when we moved out, I never saw him again. But
Hmm.
um, the memories would haunt me for the rest of my life.
I
Even
bet.
now, I always wondered what was he and who was he and why the hell was he in my room,
Yeah, no kidding.
No features. It was just blacker than black. And the bolero type hat, and I don't
Sure.
know if it was a trench coat or a cloak or what it was, but that style.
It makes me wonder if it was the ghost of a kid that dressed like that, because that was kind of a common dress back at a certain point in history,
Oh,
even for children.
yeah.
Um, I cite a U.S. example. I saw a family photo of Edgar Casey back in the
Really?
back in the, I guess it was the 1900s, early 1900s, like
Hmm.
aught something or other. And when he had either his nephews or his sons around him, they dressed just like he did, but all the clothes were smaller,
Yeah.
to fit the kids. But they basically dressed like the adults did. There
Huh.
wasn't there wasn't that much of a differential between adult clothes and child clothes, except for the
Yeah.
sizes. So you could have been dealing with a child ghost.
I didn't feel like it was.
Oh,
But as a child, I just naturally assumed it was a grown up, but a
sure.
short grown up. Yeah. But yeah, it used to scare the bejesus out of me
So what would you do?
all
You
the
just
time.
stand there, or
Yeah, he was walking around my room like he was just doing. I don't know what he was doing, and I'd had
did
the
he do the
covers.
same things?
Yes, all the time. Yeah, it could be residual. I never
Ah,
thought of that. Ooh, little brainstorming here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ghost hunters solving the case.
Yeah, I know, right? And the apartment building's not standing anymore. They tore it down many years ago, so I would absolutely love to have gone back as a paranormal
Oh,
investigator. Yeah,
yeah.
but I still dream about that apartment building even now. I'm in my mid 50s. I still dream that I'm in that apartment building.
Right.
Um and that there's something like the dreams that I have is like I'm going back to the apartment building, going back to my hometown, and I'm driving by it, and I can feel the darkness from the apartment building in my dream. That's what I feel,
Well, I guess
which is kind of strange.
that was my next question. Actually, what you felt from this individual, was he malevolent or was he just there?
I don't know, but all I remember is the terror that I felt. So I would have the
So it
covers.
scared you more
Oh yeah, yeah.
than
He never
actually
took notice of
anything
me
he
either.
did. Okay, interesting. That
Yeah,
was my next question.
yeah. Which I was thankful. I felt like he knew I was there, but he never actually looked at me that I recall. But I would have the covers that just like don't move, don't breathe,
Gotcha,
because he'll see
gotcha.
me. And my I would always scream because I guess I used to always have night terrors in that apartment building.
Well, I would
And
too if I were seeing the
yeah,
Hat Man every
yeah.
night, Junior Hat
So
Man or not. I mean,
right.
yeah.
So my mom's passed on now, but my dad tells me even now that yeah, he recalls that I had many night terrors and I'd be screaming bloody murder and they'd come. The apartment building was so old that the lights that we didn't have light switches. There were the pull switches on the
Pull
light bulbs.
chains, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they would go into the kitchen because I'd be screaming, like the man in the closet, the man in the closet.
Oh, he was in your closet too?
Yeah, he
Oh,
would.
that's great.
Yeah, and yeah, and
So
he would
he'd
just
come out
kind
of
of
your
come out my
closet
room.
and you move about your room like he was doing something.
Yeah, yeah,
And he came from the closet though.
yep, yep,
Okay.
yep. And it was a
Was it
big
the same
walk-in
time
closet.
every night?
That I'm not sure. I just
Okay.
know it was nighttime because I was in bed. So
Okay.
yeah, but I don't
Now,
recall
were
what
you
time it was.
awakened or would you just, the lights would go out and there he was?
No, because it always took me a long time to get to bed because
Mm,
they put you to bed at a specific time and it's like, but I'm not tired,
right.
so of course you just kind of look around. And I was the type of kid, we had tiles in the ceilings. I can't remember how many now, but every night I would count those tiles. I don't remember how many there are now, but I had my old
Nice.
things that I would do at night, count the tiles. And I had lots of stuffed toys, and I had a whole bunch on either side of me in bed for
Mm,
protection. And
gotcha.
we had old wood paneling in the room, so I'd count the slats. I have no idea why I did that. Maybe a little OCD or
I
something. I
was
don't
going to
know.
say, like, forced OCD just to get you to go to sleep. It's like counting
Yeah.
sheep, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. So I remember there was this one time my father got tired of, he couldn't help, the parents couldn't really help me
Mm,
with seeing this entity. So there's one day my father decided, okay, kiddo, we're going to go into the closet in the daytime. And he never really was into the paranormal. My mother always was. My father didn't believe into that. He believes now, but so he had me in the closet in the daytime. He goes, "See, kiddo, there's nothing here in the daytime, nothing here at night that's not here during the daytime." me being me, I looked at him with big eyes and I said, "You mean he's here in the daytime too?" And he's just kind of like, "Oh crap, that didn't
Oh,
quite
it
that didn't
backfired.
quite." Yeah, I was afraid of my room in the daytime for the longest time
Oh
too.
no. Oh
He's
no.
trying to help me, but we giggle about it now. So fast forward many
Oh, poor
years, and
thing.
I'm listening to a podcast called Paratruth Radio, and Justin and Eric are the hosts, and they had this guest on the show, and he was talking about the Hat Man. Now, I never spoke about the Hat Man to anyone over the years, but I always wondered. It was always at the back of my mind, never forgot him. I was fascinated because I never heard anybody else talk about the Hat Man before. The eye was amazing, but he was talking about the taller version.
Yeah.
So I
But
sent them an
still,
email. Yeah, well, yeah.
it's
I
nice
was
to have that validation, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. So I sent them an email and I said, "Hey, new listener, just listened to the Hat Man episode. I can relate." And I told them my encounters as a child. So Justin sent me a YouTube video that he had found. It was this man in the States. He had also encountered the Hat Man, but the short version like mine. And
Oh.
he decided he was going to recreate it.
Oh.
He turns and he's just got like the mannequin type thing. He's got the
Oh,
bolero
okay.
hat, and
Okay.
so he thought, I'm going to recreate to show you what I used to see as a child. And I'm like, okay. So he
Okay.
turns the lights out. Instant terror
Oh.
from my childhood. It was exactly what I had seen as a child,
Oh.
and I was fascinated, going, other
Yeah.
people have seen this.
Yeah.
What the heck?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
I
it's
was
terrifying, but awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
But as a grown up, I was totally fascinated that you know, other people had seen this. And that's when I
Right.
started realizing, as a paranormal investigator, that the thing that fascinates me the most about the paranormal is everybody around the world, it doesn't matter on your religion, on your culture, whatever, people are seeing the same things throughout history. They might have different names or they might have a little physical difference,
Yeah.
but they're all pretty much the same creature. And that fascinates me. So something has to be real about all these creatures that people say they don't exist. They
Oh,
have
yeah.
to.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That was on a topic on one of my previous episodes. Like I called it the paranormal M theory, which follows the physics theory, of M theory, that
Yeah.
quantum states and all that fun stuff. But basically, it's an all-encompassing theory in the paranormal sense that, just like you said, we have, for example, little people, the
Mhm.
little people.
Yeah.
The Native Americans have the little people, the Irish and the Celts and England has the little people. I think we do too in the States. We call them Pukwudgie.
Yes. Yes.
And I think Canada has something similar too.
Yeah. I can't remember what they're called, but
Well, I know the native Canadians probably do
yeah.
something similar. They have them in the South Pacific, all over the South Pacific. I mean, they even say that they're seeing them today in the
Mm.
here and now. There's always a video popping up in like Manila or something like that. It's like, there he is. There's one of the little people.
Yeah.
And that's just an example. Bigfoot, same thing, literally all around the world. Loch
Yeah.
Ness
I mean,
monster, literally all around the world to one degree or another.
yeah, we have one in BC called Ogopogo.
Ogo
Yeah.
Pogo. You see, I was trying to remember that thing with Tommy. I thought it was in the States. I forgot it was in Canada.
Yeah. In the Okanagan Valley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went
I
fishing on the Okanagan River with my grandparents many years ago, and when they told me about Ogopogo, my grandmother's like, "Well, I hope you're not scared because I'm scanning the waters, right?" I'm like, "No, I'm looking for it." She's
Where
like,
is it?
"Oh,
I want to
great."
see it.
Yeah, I never did, but yeah.
But yeah, in the States we have Champ in Lake Champlain.
Yep. Yep.
And Loch Ness Nessie, of course. And there's something about, I think there's one in China somewhere.
Oh, really?
It's something like Bam Bam, for lack of a better
Yeah.
remembrance. Sorry, but that's what they call it, or that's not it exactly. And then circle right back around the world, keep going
Yep.
west, and you're back in Scotland. And it
Yeah.
almost seems to be at that latitude, roughly. I don't know if
I never
Ogopogo.
thought of that.
Yeah, Ogopogo. I don't know where Ogopogo is. I think it's by the Great Lakes, isn't it? Or is it an
No,
offshoot of
that
there?
no, Ogopogo's in BC, so it's on the west coast of Canada.
Is it on that same? Is it by the border though?
Oh, nah, don't think so.
Okay, okay.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, my
No, I
geography
don't.
is atrocious.
Apparently mine is too.
But yeah, there seems to be this band that's like that's where these creatures reside for some
Hmm.
reason. Um, what was I saying? Oh, it's your interview. So what were you saying?
I was totally fascinated to find out that someone else around, like, this creature is being seen around the world.
Yeah,
So when we moved from New Brunswick to Ontario, my husband's military, and we're posted here.
excellent.
And um, I had somebody message me on Facebook and say, "Hey, someone is looking to start a paranormal investigative team. I know you're into that. You should give them send them an email." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I said, "What's their name?" And they said, "Katie Turner." I'm like, "Okay." So message Katie Turner, and she says, "Yeah, we're gonna have like a meet and greet at the local Tim Hortons. It's our big coffee shop
Nice.
around
Tim
here." Yeah,
Hortons, of course.
Tim
I know
Hortons.
about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. We're going to meet up, talk about if people are interested in joining the team, say what the expectations are, take it from there. So my husband and I, every Friday night after we'd put the kids down, we would watch Most Haunted. We'd open up a bottle of wine, have snacks, So I totally love those shows. But
Oh yeah.
the thing that bothered me was they'd be like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "No, the camera was on you. I saw nothing."
Right.
So
I
when I
I
had,
can't go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say I poke holes in those shows all the time. Now, I mean, I'm a filmmaker myself, so I
Yeah,
understand some of the ins and outs of how that business works.
yeah.
And all the time, that those types of shows, like the ghost hunting shows, paranormal caught on tape, there's a lot of those. It's like that's CGI, that's obvious, and
Oh
you put
no.
it on your show. What's the
Yeah.
matter with you? It's like they ran out of material or something. Let's talk about the weird one. Who cares if it's fake? That's like they just stopped giving a darn, you know. So
Well, they do have a business. They're trying to
yeah.
get people's attention,
Well, there's this
and
one point.
interest.
There's this one point I will cite paranormal caught on camera because they did an interesting thing. They ran out of
Oh no.
they ran out of paranormal stuff for like half a season, and it was all about near misses and human endeavors. Like there was for an example, there's this video made around some of the states. I don't know if it was everywhere, but there was I think it was in Michigan. A sheriff pulls over someone, and it's pouring down rain, and there's this van that spins out as he's out on the outside of the car trying to talk to the driver, and it barely misses him. And they cite that it was like no way that van should have missed him. It should have clipped him, but for some reason it didn't. But it was all these weird near misses and accidents. It had nothing to do with the paranormal whatsoever.
Oh wow.
It was like a whole like half a season gone. It's like maybe it was the whole pandemic thing. It just shut them down. So they said, well, let's run this
Oh,
footage
maybe.
instead. But I don't know. I thought it was just strange. But going back to what you were saying, yes, there you poke hole. There's all just like show me the things, show me the stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the
You,
ghost shows that actually enhance the ghost experiences? Those are the worst. It's like, no, you didn't put a shadow there just so we could see it. We
my
want to see it
daughter,
on your camera, dude.
my
Yeah.
daughter doesn't let me watch shows with her like that anymore because I ruin it for her.
Oh,
She knows that a lot of it is not as it is in real life. They
yeah.
do have a business. So I'm like, "That's not how you do it." Or what? Wait, no, they should have panned over there. They should have put the camera over there, whatever. And she goes, "Mother, you're ruining it for me. Just go away." It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird that they don't have, if there is something actually happening there, and I hate to say it, but I mean even with the larger ghost hunting shows, there's some suspicious stuff that happens. And you wonder why wasn't there more coverage? They have the money to get the cameras mounted on the people, mounted on the walls, mounted on the cameramen themselves. Okay, good. Now you got
Yeah.
more coverage. Now I
Yeah.
can see the shadow on the wall. I don't have to worry about you saying, "Did you see that?" you know.
Don't get
I'm
me
sorry.
wrong, these shows are great because
Oh
it
yeah,
kind of made our field a little bit more not so taboo and not so people don't look at me like I have three heads as much,
right. Exactly.
Made it a little bit more normal.
It's funny you mentioned that. I had brought that up to when I was interviewing my grandmother. Uh, and she says, "What do you want to know about this for?" I said, "Well, I have a podcast that I do about the paranormal." Why?
Why?
Because she doesn't believe. But she gave me the goo goo eyes. It's like, what's the matter with you? So it
That's
does
funny.
happen once in a while. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's funny. You ruined it for your
Yeah.
That's funny.
She's in her early 20s now, and she's like, "No,
Mhm.
if you keep your mouth shut, you can watch it with me." Fine.
Okay,
Or
fine.
I'll snicker, and then she gives me the eyes. It's like,
Yeah.
didn't say didn't say a thing.
Right, right.
So no,
So
we I met the team. I told my husband, I said, "Yeah, I'm going to meet this team." And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, like he's like, "What if they're a bunch of wingnuts?" I'm like, "Well, then I'll say thank you for the coffee. Good luck in your endeavors and see you later."
right.
And I jokingly say to this day that yes, they were a bunch of wingnuts, but I joined them anyways. I think we started out we are 8 or 9 on the team, and now we're down to 4.
Oh wow, that's
Um,
a big team.
yeah,
Were
yeah.
you investigating large properties, or where you
No,
needed that many people?
no, not really. Just Katie was having like friends, and then become part of the team. So that's how she kind of started to get the bulk of the team, and then she just kind of branched out and put the word out. And I think in the beginning she mistakenly gave her phone number, and people were were calling, and she's like, "Okay, I got to take my phone number off. Just contact me via Facebook." It's just
Right,
like, oh.
right.
But no, I started to realize that as an investigator, people kind of having a PTSD with having their paranormal experiences, because like if it was a family, one spouse would see something and the other spouse wouldn't, and they wouldn't believe them.
Yeah,
So we've seen families split up just because they're really 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 stressed. People don't want to talk about what they've just witnessed. They saw something that they shouldn't have experienced. It shouldn't be. It just makes no sense. um
yeah,
and when we go in and do the investigation, then people are just like, you can just see the someone's here, they believe me, they're going to
yeah,
help me. you
yeah.
know they validated what I encountered.
Exactly right.
And I did a couple of podcasts. My very very first show as a guest was on Odd to Newfoundland with John Mallard. He wanted me to be a guest, and I was terrified. I'd never done anything like that before. And he goes, "No, no, no, we're just two Canadians talking about the paranormal." I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay." And then a friend started another paranormal show. She wanted me to be on there. So I had family and friends say, "Hey, um, why don't you start your own show?" And I'm like,
Hi, doggy.
"Sorry, that's Willow. Hi, Willow.
Willow.
Sorry. I'm gonna let her out of the room.
Okay,
I
no
forgot."
worries. So, your
Yeah.
friend
So
had.
friend so yeah, people were saying you should start your own podcast. And I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, why not?" I'm like, "That's just what other people do. I don't do that." And they're like, "No, you should." So I asked my husband, and he's like, "Why wouldn't you do it?" And I'm just like, again, that's something other people do. And he goes, "Well, let me put it this way." He says, "You like the paranormal, you like to talk to people, people like to talk to you. It's a no-brainer." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I reached out to my friend John Mallard and another friend, Jim Mallard. No, they're not related.
No relation.
And yeah, nope, two different podcasters, both paranormal. But um, and I reached out to them and said, "What do you guys think?" And they're like, "Yeah." And so they helped me out starting in the beginning. And at first, I used to think paranormal was just ghost.
Oh,
But yeah, that was my opinion. Paranormal's just ghosts because I would put out on Facebook, I'm looking for paranormal encounters. Oh, well, I have a UFO encounter. No, paranormal ghost. But now I understand that
yeah,
paranormal's not just ghosts. It could be
right.
cryptids, it could be aliens, it could be near-death experiences. There's
Uh,
so much in the paranormal.
I know. It's
So
amazing, isn't it?
it is, and so many people um are happy to talk about it or happy to listen that other people have experienced it, the same experience, like me with the Hat Man. I
Hmm.
didn't know other people had encountered that before. I'd never heard of that entity before. So to me, it was important to have a show to kind of provide a safe place for people to tell me about their paranormal encounters without being fearful of being ridiculed or anything like that. It's just like, no, you went through something.
Yeah,
I was not there, so I cannot tell you that I believe you or not. But if you need to talk about it, come on my show.
yeah.
We'll talk about it. And here we are.
And here we are. So
Yeah.
when did you actually start podcasting?
About I think it'll be 6 years in November.
Oh, good for you.
At,
Wow, that's
at,
amazing.
yeah,
That's great.
at first it was just monthly. It was the last Sunday of every month. And then people were like, you should have more episodes. So now it's on the second and last Sunday of every month. Some people say, you should do weekly, but I just don't have the time for that. So
Right. I
twice a
understand
month
that.
is good for now.
That's great. Still 6 years. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And
Um,
I've met so many wonderful people. I mean, I'm
yeah.
so for like in the beginning when I first got into the paranormal, there was so much drama and hate. I actually knew a girl that she had a team, she had a TV show, and her team was actually harassing her and threatening her at work, leaving threatening phone calls.
Her team
Um,
was doing this?
yeah, not it was she had like a show that she was trying to put together,
Okay.
and so her partners. Um, so when she left, she decided she had enough. She had to get restraining orders. Um,
Wow.
I actually used to read the chats, and they would talk about my friend, who used to be their friend, and the people in the chat would say, "Well, that's not right. She should die." And I'm just like, "No, no, no!" Like the hatred.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and these people should have said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, that's a little harsh. No, no one needs to die." Like just
Yeah,
because you don't agree with some of their thoughts or ways that they might do investigations or whatever. No, that's little that's just
that's
too much.
that's over the top. Yeah.
Yeah, so I stopped tuning in, obviously, but there was so much of that, and then it seemed like everybody banded together, and now we have I hate to use the word, but it is what it is, the para unity. People are trying to um not knock each other down, but they're trying to say, hey, what kind of evidence did you have? Well, this is what I had, at the same location. Let's compare notes instead of bashing them saying, no, I was there first. I
Right.
just find there's a little bit more unity now than the beginning. And it's nice to see. And podcasters too, paranormal podcasters, we seem to be helping each other out. Like Tommy, when I was first on his show, Tommy Cullum,
Yeah.
on Let's Get Freaky podcast,
Go
at the
Tommy.
end, yeah, go Tommy, Team Tommy. He after we recorded, he says, "Yeah, I've been doing this for a couple of months." I'm like, "Excuse me?" I said, "I need to have you on my show." And I've given him guests, and he's given me guests. And we help each other out.
That's
And it's
fantastic.
just nice to see and I made such wonderful friends.
Well, JJ gave me you. She led me to
Yep,
you.
yep,
So that was phenomenal.
yeah, yeah. Love
There's
Team JJ too.
Oh yeah, JJ, absolutely, absolutely. Team
Yeah,
JJ with the little cheerleaders on the side.
yeah. But it's just
That's
nice to know that the little circle of friends that I have in the paranormal community, like for podcasting and everything, if somebody has an issue with or questions about their podcast, there's always somebody that's willing and able to help.
yeah,
And it's amazing. It's not like, no, I don't want your podcast to succeed. It's only mine. No, everybody's working hand in hand, and I absolutely love that.
me too. It is a nice, it is an exceptionally nice community. It
Yep.
really is. Eric Salaji from Uncomfortable helped me with a lot, mostly with my equipment purchases, uh,
Mm.
because I was using this. Tommy uses it successfully too. I don't know. His room must have different acoustics than mine, but he uses a blue
Oh yeah, that's what I
microphone.
started off.
Yeah, he has a Yeti
Yeah.
mic or Blue Yeti or whatever you call it. And for
The
me, it didn't
snowball?
work. Huh?
The snowball?
I,
Was it the blue snowball?
no, no, it's the longer mic. It's
Oh, okay.
it's black. It was in. That's what I saw on this desk anyway.
Okay.
But and I used that on my first interview with Eric, and it picked up everything. There was
Yeah.
someone laughing in the other room on the
Excuse me.
telephone call, and it picked it up. And I said, okay, so what do I do to negate that? He says, well, here's what I purchased, and maybe it'll work for you. And I went mostly down the same road he did. I went with a different recording system, but
Okay.
I'm very happy with it. Um, but yeah, the community's great. We help each other out all the time. It's
Yep.
fantastic. So yeah, just I echo exactly what you just said. They're a great community, the
Yeah.
paranormal podcasters.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like I said, when I first started, it wasn't like that. There was so much negativity and drama, and it's like everybody just had enough and said, "No, we're not putting up with this."
That's
And
great. I mean, I'm
yeah.
fortunate, I guess, because I just started out this January.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. And
Congratulations! You're
thank
doing a
you.
great job.
Oh, thanks. I'm all embarrassed
Oh
now.
shucks.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
The 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 thing that really that's shocking to me, actually, that it was so violent and aggressive. I,
Yeah, it was just trash talking people online, and it was horrible.
wow,
Luckily, I was never subject to that myself,
good.
but I've seen it. So,
Strange. That's just now. Was it across the spectrum, or was it just in Canada, or just in the U.S.
oh no,
or
it's across the spectrum.
oh,
It was horrible, and I just don't understand, especially with people researching the paranormal. Like I said earlier, whatever evidence that they captured, somebody would say, sometimes they'd post it online, and some would say that's not real, or that's trash, or you're talking out of your backside. No, like,
wow,
don't be doing that. Yeah, it was horrible. It was just so harsh. I mean, there's constructive criticism, and then there's like harassment, which was happening an awful lot. But
oh,
uh,
that's no, that's not good. I'm well,
no,
I'm fortunate then. I'm sorry you had to experience that. That's
no.
rough,
Well, like I said, I've never really experienced it myself, but I've seen
right?
it. I've seen
But
other people go through that, and it's like,
mhm,
holy,
that's yeah, that's not necessary, and
no.
I'm glad it's done with.
Because can you imagine if everybody took the evidence that they received and pulled it together and analyzed it together and say, hey, yeah, especially if we went to the same locations, it's like, well, this is what I picked up. This is what I picked up. Well, what time of day were you there? Day of the
Sure.
week, whatever, and just compare your evidence and just brainstorm.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
we
that's
might be
great.
able we might be able to find the golden, or
The
what's the word?
reason, right? Yeah,
Yeah. Or we might be able to actually figure out what exactly is going on if we actually pooled all our resources and knowledge, but
mm.
it didn't start out like that.
Oh, that's a shame. I'm glad it changed. I really am.
There still is
And
a little bit, but still little cutthroat, but not like it was what it was before.
that's good. Really good. I've been fortunate. I have been on the receiving end of anything like that too.
Mm,
So, but I only very recently started commenting on some of the Instagram posts that say,
mm,
"Do you think this is real?" And I got a film background. I can tell you if it's real or not.
yeah.
But I mean, there's also different types of body movement analysis that I'm aware of, and all that fun stuff. In fact, there was a Bigfoot clip today, um, Redford version, which I think is out here in California. Um, and the way it ran, I didn't put this up. I was in the middle of typing it up. I never did post my comment, but the way it ran, I would almost suspect it had a more feminine gait to put a term to it, because the
Mhm.
hands went out. When human females run, they kind of tend to run with their hands out a little
And
more.
we kind of twist. I have no idea why we twist.
Well, it's almost like you're always running in heels, and it's bizarre because you're not always running in heels. It's
Yeah.
But that's what kind of reminded me of, because this thing was trying to get out of the way. Maybe they're really high rocks I couldn't see in the brush. I don't know. But it was it was it was that body posture that made me first question it. It's like, is that person in a costume? Did they just put a giant female in that thing and say, okay, go up the hill as fast as you can? Possible. I'm not going to disparage it, but the fact that we have the Patterson Gimlin film in comparison, also a female Bigfoot,
Yep.
very clearly identifiable. She did not do the hands out thing. She walked at a very steady gait and hands by her side and the whole thing. So I don't know, could have been a person in a costume, but if it was, that was a really expensive costume.
Especially for back then. Good grief.
Oh, I'm talking about the recent
Oh,
one.
the recent one. Okay.
I'm sorry, I
Okay.
should have
Yeah,
clarified that.
that's all right.
But yeah, still it looked very authentic as far as the fur goes. I didn't see a zipper anywhere or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
but
Kind of makes me think of what they've been saying in one of the Chinese zoos. One of the bears, they say it's just people in a bear suit. Have you read about that?
no.
Yeah, I think it was a sun bear. They're like, that's a guy in a like a person in a
Oh, is that
suit.
the thing that stood up and it's kind
Yeah,
of flat looking?
yeah.
Yeah,
They're like, that's a
kind of
person
suit.
in a suit. I don't know.
I hadn't heard that before. That's
Yeah,
funny. I saw the video, but I guess I didn't read the text on it.
yeah,
That's funny. It's a guy in a suit. It's
yeah.
weird looking. That's weird. That is strange. Oh, now talk about if any creatures you may have witnessed, any Bigfoot or dogmen or anything like that.
No, there's a local, every community seems to have that one place where they say it's haunted and teenagers like to go there and drink and you know what I mean? We had one back in Moncton where I'm from originally, and we have one here in the Ottawa Valley. It's called Buck Hill.
So
We've
was that
investigated
buck or bug?
Buck, Buck,
Buck. Okay.
Buck.
Like a deer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So I can't remember, was it the 1800s or 1600s? I think it was 1800s. So there's nothing on this. There's a few houses at the bottom of the hill, and then there's just this old road, and then on either side there's the forest. It's black. If you don't, there's no street lights. It's like you can't see your hand in front of your face unless you have some kind of a light source.
Gotcha.
And the gist of the story is there was a snowstorm. This man was living, I think he was a lumberjack. Was he working was he a lumberjack? No, I can't remember. Anyways, so as a man, his wife, daughter, and then their dog, he went outside to get something and he came back in and said, make sure everybody stays inside because there's a bad snowstorm coming. When he left, the door opened and the dog ran out. The little girl went looking for the dog, never found her. The father, every day until he died, he went out with a lantern looking for her. The legend is when you drive up the hill and you angle your vehicle down, you flash your lights 3 times and say, Daddy, 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 you're going to see a green light, like from a lantern, walk by or go up the hill.
Oh,
that's the legend, yeah. So we've been there a few times investigating there. There was this one time, excuse me, we had guests with us from Toronto radio station come up, and they wanted to see what's an investigation like. So we had them come with us, and we had little stones and pebbles being thrown at us, and at the time we were thinking maybe it's trying to think of sprites or things like that, throwing things, right? But some of them are getting a little bigger. Actually cracked the windshield for Katie's windshield. It hit it,
okay.
she wasn't happy with that.
Yeah.
Didn't think anything of it. Again,
Can't build
that's,
the spirits.
yeah. So back then, that's when I used to think paranormal is just ghosts. It's not cryptids or anything like that. So we're all up at the top of the hill. We all have various pieces of equipment. And all of a sudden, we hear this loud sound coming from the woods. Now, if somebody, it's fall, I think it was fall. If anyone is walking in the woods, you're going to hear them because it's dead quiet. There's no light sources. Like I said, you can't see the hand in front of your face if there's no light sources at all.
Right.
We instinctively went back to back after hearing that loud crash or whatever it was. And we're
Oh.
looking around, and I jokingly say, let's go look. Maybe it's a Bigfoot. Ha 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 ha. But then later on, as we thought about it, we're like, oh crap, maybe it was.
Oh.
The pebbles getting thrown at us, getting bigger and bigger. They weren't like big boulders. But we were having things thrown. Yeah. And it's like, and then we found out that Buck Hill is not too far from a place called Algonquin Park. It's a national park here.
I've heard of that.
Yeah,
That's
and there are Bigfoot there.
Yeah, heavy traffic for Bigfoot, I think.
Yep, and we're now starting to think that there was Bigfoot in that same area. So I think that's what we encountered, because if it was somebody in the woods, it was massive, that sound.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that somebody could push something over without us hearing them. It was just dead quiet. All of a sudden we heard that sound, dead quiet again.
Oh.
So it had to have been a Bigfoot.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had I'm convinced it was a Bigfoot, although I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything, but I smelled something.
Oh.
And this was at an outdoor Shakespeare performance. We're at a park called Sanborn Park, and they have an amphitheater there. They were doing Shakespeare. And this god awful, fishy, stinky, garbagey smell hits everybody in the audience, on the stage, and everything stops.
Wow.
They're just overwhelmed. It was it was disgusting. And we hear the stage manager whisper, "Go." And the actors, right, yeah, that's right, we're doing a play. So they jump back in and they start doing their thing, and the stink persists for a while, for a little bit. And maybe 2 or 3 minutes later it subsides, but you hear splashing, and there's a creek that runs right behind the amphitheater.
No.
Splash, splash, splash. It receded into the forest. So we had Bigfoot as an audience member for a short while.
Bigfoot is cultured. They want to see Shakespeare.
Yes.
It's amazing. I think my daughter had an encounter too. There's
Really?
There's this old I can't remember the name of the place. You can get it was an old mine, and you can just dig up your own crystals there.
Really? Okay.
There's quartz, there's a whole bunch of others. I can't remember what the name of the place is. So my daughter, my sister-in-law, and my sister-in-law's friend had gone there one day, and they were on the edge of the forest. And all of a sudden, I guess my daughter says, when she came home, she told me about it. I was super excited. She said they heard all of a sudden I can't remember which came first. There was this god awful smell. She said she's never smelled anything like that before. And a loud sound coming from the forest, but I can't remember which came first, if it was the sound or the smell. And they all looked at each other and like, we're getting out of Dodge. And then yeah. So when my daughter told me that, I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What just happened? And once they got back down to a specific part of the trail, the smell just disappeared. So my husband and I want to go back with her.
When was this?
This is 2-3 years ago, so it was recent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're I was super excited. I texted a friend of mine who's been doing a lot of research on Bigfoot over the years. And I said, hey, I want to tell you an encounter that my daughter had. What do you think it is? And he's like, are you kidding me? It's like, that's what I thought. I didn't tell him what I thought it was at first. I just wanted to say, this is what she experienced. And he's like, yeah, that's Bigfoot. I'm like, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Well, so, I'm pretty sure what I smelled was Bigfoot too. Sanborn Park is in the same range as Ben Lomond, and not too far where Patterson actually shot this film.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
it's in that range anyway, I should say.
Yeah.
It is a little bit further away, but if you know where Ben Lomond is, or you look it up on the map, you're pretty much in the backyard of Sanborn Park.
Huh.
So, and also in Ben Lomond, there's this little tiny shack of a place
Mm-hmm.
called the Bigfoot Museum. You've probably seen it on TV a couple of
Okay.
times. And you go in there, and on one wall is a map of the entire county around Ben Lomond. And there's all these little pins in there. And most of them are along the road, the Highway 9 road.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Bigfoot has been sighted, and it's all over the map. And he has when I was there a year ago, he had just had one that was 4 days old, and a couple of
Wow.
photos from another location where it looked like someone of about 8 feet tall built a hunting blind out of trees and tree parts and stuff.
Yep.
It was amazing. It wasn't a dome, it was a little more boxy, but they
Yeah.
think it was a hunting blind. They said reminded them of it.
Hmm.
It was interesting. But yeah, so I'm going up to Ben Lomond in the next week or two
Oh, really?
to talk to
Oh,
that guy, because he's not doing too well, but he's got a ton of stories.
yeah.
But
If you
he's
experience anything, you got to let me know.
oh yeah, I'm definitely going to the woods too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have this rig I call the one man band. I talked about it on my show, and basically it's a tack vest that I converted to hold cameras and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take that into the woods, and maybe I'll have JJ go with me if she's into it.
Yeah. That she can give you a heads up if there's something there.
Right, go that way, go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll be able to pick up on it for
Hmm.
sure. Was there anything else you wanted to relay before we wrap it up?
And I just want to mention that I also got into narrating a book. I'm working on a book series.
Cool.
Yeah, I just want to kind of plug it if that's okay.
Please.
The author is J.B. Coates, and it's called Integrity, an Obsidian Guardian novel. She has 4 books that are out. She has 6 planned. I narrated the first one. I'd never done anything like that before. It took me 8 months to do, but it was a learning curve. I had my friend Brian Bode. No, that's the wrong Brian. Hey, Uncle Brian. Brian Anderson. I know too many Brians. Brian Anderson, he helped me out an awful lot. So I was learning as I was going. So I not only recorded it, but I did all the editing and I did everything.
Oh wow.
So now it's out. You can find it on Audible. Integrity, an Obsidian Guardian novel written by J.B. Coates, narrated by Kat Ward. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Congratulations. That's
thank you.
awesome.
Yeah.
I've been looking for that kind of work too for myself.
Ah, yeah. Oh, well,
So,
my friend JB, she's a paranormal investigator, didn't even know she was an author. And one day I created a profile on Casting Call Club and posted on Facebook. I said, "This happened today." She private messaged me. She goes, "Oh, you have the voice that I've been looking for to narrate my books." I'm like, "Wait, you're an author?" She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "I had no idea."
oh, that's
So yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Right on. That's awesome. That's great. Right. Well, Kat, if there's nothing else to add, I want to thank you very much for being on the show. Um, your journey from your experiences to being a podcaster about those experiences and talking to other people about theirs, is fascinating. It's always
Thank
nice to
you.
hear those stories.
Mm.
So I want to thank you again for being with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It really was a lot of fun. You're very easy to talk to.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you as well. And folks, if you want to hear some great stuff, go visit Kat Ward at Paranormal Heart. Kat, why don't you tell them where to find you?
It gets released on the second and last Sunday of each month. I'm on Podbean and YouTube primarily, but you can find me on KPNL Network on Thursday nights. I'm on Apple, iHeart. I'm pretty much wherever you can find podcasts. So just look for Paranormal Heart Podcast.
Excellent. And we'll have those links and descriptions in the comment in the thingy.
Show notes.
Below the notes. There you go. Below the YouTube there. So once again, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
you're very welcome. I'm very happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Good night and have a wonderful rest of the week. We'll see you next time on Paranormal Insight. Thank you. Thank you for watching and listening. Please click the subscribe button and activate notifications for future episodes and other content. If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook and Instagram under paranormal.insight.podcast